Hi everyone, I'm so sorry and genuinely disappointed I cannot be with you tonight for the premiere of Gourou. It's a very, very special and very important movie for me. I had this original idea maybe 12 years ago, and I think with time the movie became more and more relevant. We tried to talk about our society and of course this industry of self-development and what it is to be a coach today, a life coach. But I think it's also a take on how we create our own modern monsters. So I hope you will love the movie. Thank you to the festival for the invitation. Thank you Yann Gozlan, the director, amazing director. Holt McCallany, who's around I think. I can't wait to see you again, but he's amazing in the movie. And yes, yeah, well take care. I'll be in Los Angeles next time and let's fucking go for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage writer, director of Gourou, Yann Gozlan. The composer, Chloé Thévenin. The actor, Holt McCallany. And our moderator tonight is the WGA and DGA members, Mr. Simon Barrett.
Wow, I'm genuinely honored to be moderating the Q&A for this film. I've seen this twice. I've had the fortune of seeing this twice. I love the movie, but I flunked out of 11th grade French, c'est vrai, so we'll do this en anglais. Yeah. So the question for all three of you, I guess, at first. I'd love to know what research you did. Like, if you watched any actual life gurus, Chloé, did you, like, I love the Coach Matt theme. Like, the like, do, like, whenever Coach Matt's getting hyped up. Like, so I'm curious if you based that on any style of music, and of course, yeah, did you watch, like, tons of videos of these guys? So, yeah, maybe starting with you, Yann. Was there a research process for this film?
Okay, sorry, I will speak in French, so sorry, it'll be easier for me. Donc Pierre, comme vous l'avez vu, est venu me voir, il m'a parlé de cette idée de faire un film centré autour d'un coach de vie, et j'ai tout de suite trouvé l'idée hyper séduisante, parce que pour moi, j'avais le sentiment que le succès du coaching en France, c'était comme un symptôme du changement de la société, une sorte d'injonction à la réussite individuelle, au culte de la performance, et pas seulement de la performance professionnelle, mais de la performance aussi intime. Donc je trouvais que c'était un sujet très très original et qui était moderne au vu vraiment du succès de ces coachs de vie et qui sont boostés par les réseaux sociaux.
So yes, we have a cable today, sorry. All right. Yes, actually, like you just heard, Pierre came to me with this topic of making a film about life coaches. And I got pretty excited right away because this is something that has had quite some success by now in France as well. So, and I see that actually as a symptom of the change that we have in society at this point, and it's sort of an indication of showing how we're sort of wanting to get a performance out of ourselves, not just professionally, but also in our personal lives, and that there's this need to move ahead and become somewhat individualized in that way, because it's not about all of us, but it's about the individual trying to top himself or herself, and so we can see this life coaching having more and more success.
Et du coup, effectivement, j'ai commencé par regarder énormément de vidéos sur les réseaux sociaux, et j'ai vu, j'ai découvert l'existence de plein de coachs de vie, à la fois aux États-Unis et aussi en France. Et pour ce qui était de la France, certaines de ces vidéos, de ces coachs, parfois il donnait des conseils sur comment donner une meilleure version de soi-même, comment gagner son premier million d'euros en 3 jours, enfin ce genre de choses. Et parfois c'était un peu, c'était pas très convaincant, ça prêtait à sourire. Mais je suis tombé sur d'autres vidéos de coachs beaucoup plus charismatiques, beaucoup plus convaincants. Et surtout, j'ai découvert en fait une industrie, c'est-à-dire certains coachs qui étaient à la tête d'entreprises avec une dizaine de salariés. Et donc, ce qui était à première vue, j'étais un peu sceptique et un peu condescendant. Je me rendais compte qu'en fait, il y avait une véritable industrie et alors qu'au départ, j'étais dans une sorte de résistance moqueuse, je me rendais compte qu'en fait, il y avait une vraie industrie. C'est là que je me suis dit, il y a vraiment un vrai sujet.
So I did start watching videos of coaches in the US and in France, and I saw some of those videos, like, oh, how to be the best version of yourself. And some were seemed kind of silly and not very convincing. But then I did come across some coaches in France who were actually quite charismatic, and I realized there's a whole industry behind it. These are people who are running a corporation, who are having a ton of employees. So this made it somewhat more pressing to take on this topic, because it's not just a few life coaches, it's a whole industry.
Et le dernier point, si je peux ajouter ça, donc du coup je me suis inscrit en fait à des séminaires et j'ai découvert, je savais qu'aux États-Unis vous aviez des grands séminaires avec des milliers de personnes, mais en France je ne savais pas que ça existait et c'était le cas. Et je me suis inscrit à plusieurs séminaires où là c'était des centaines de personnes qui se retrouvaient pour 2 ou 3 jours, certains séminaires c'était sur une semaine, et j'ai été bluffé, enfin ça m'a saisi et j'ai tout de suite vu le potentiel cinégénique de ces grands rassemblements où la parole domine, elle est performative, et j'ai vu des situations où il y avait quelque chose d'extrêmement électrique, il y avait des catharsis qui étaient là, où des gens se retrouvaient pris en main par un coach et cette adrénaline que j'ai ressentie dans ces moments-là, je me suis dit que voilà, je voulais que le film rendre compte de ça et très vite avec le scénariste Jean-Baptiste je lui en ai parlé et on s'est dit que ces scènes de séminaire devaient être l'ADN du film, elles devaient vraiment constituer même la colonne vertébrale du film, faire avancer le storyline, l'intrigue du film et si vous voulez, je me disais à moi-même, c'était comme si je faisais un film de boxe. Les scènes, vous voyez, sur un ring, elles sont super importantes. Et là, c'était exactement la même chose pour ces séminaires. I'm sorry.
No worries at all. It's so exciting. So yeah, I actually started registering myself for some of those seminars, and of course here, like you see at the end of the film in the US, these are huge. There's thousands of people. It's not quite that big in France, but I did attend some of these seminars over 2 to 3 days, or some go a week, and there were, hundreds of people getting together, and it was quite amazing to just see this energy when these gatherings happen, led by the coach. It's electric, it's sort of a catharsis that is happening, that is channeling through everybody, and quite, a lot of adrenaline. And I realized then, together also with my writer, that that's kind of what we wanted to make the center and the storyline of this film, and take this through to take this all the way through the film and build it around it.
Cool. Chloé, did you want to talk about the research process of creating the score?
Sorry?
It's like did any research go into creating? Can you talk about your process of creating the score? Were you trying to emulate any other styles of music? Did you look at like the themes that these life coaches actually play, or were you going for a more stylized version?
Well, specifically in this movie, the whole movie is on the character. So it's Mathieu Vasseur, and Mathieu Vasseur at the beginning is really like confidence, and he's really into control of everything, and slowly he's going into something where he doesn't control anything anymore. So the music has to follow this line somehow. So it's more about what he is himself inside than all the coach sessions. Maybe Yann can talk a little bit more than me about this. But it's like the idea was to follow this shifting from the control side of Mathieu Vasseur, going slowly into something where it's shifting and going slowly into kind of a fall down, and yeah.
And Holt, how do you prepare for a role where the character's kind of always shown to be on?
Yeah, well, you know, Yann offered me the part, and I loved the script. I loved Renoir, another film that he did with Pierre Ninet, and so I said yes. Almost immediately, I wanted to work with Pierre, and you know, so I knew that my inspiration for the part was going to be the most famous life coach of self-help guru, Tony Robbins. So I needed to do a seminar with Tony Robbins before shooting the film. So I looked at my calendar, and the only one that was available that really fit was a seminar in Fiji, where Tony owns a big resort. But I live in New York, so it was like 23 hours. It's like the other side of the world. You got to fly to LA, and then it's a layover, and then it's an 11-hour flight to Fiji. But I said, you know what? I'm going to go. And then I have a long friendship with a wonderful guy named Fabien Cousteau, who is the grandson of the great French oceanographer Jacques Cousteau, who was a boyhood hero of mine. And Fabien said, if you're going to Fiji, my father, Jean-Michel, has a diving school in Fiji. So why don't you go early, do some diving, and then have the seminar with Tony. And I was like, this is great. I'm going to go to Fiji. I'm going to do some diving with Equipe Cousteau. And then I'm going to take a Tony Robbins seminar. And then I'm going to Paris, I'm going to shoot the movie, and it's a big adventure, and I'm so excited. And then, like the day before I was going to get on the plane to go to Fiji, I got an email from somebody on Tony's team, and it was sort of like to talk about the itinerary for the event. And I went online, and at the end there was like a Q&A, and I said, well, when are we going to get to meet Tony? And she said, oh, well, Tony's not going to be at the seminar. And I said, how is that possible? It's the Tony Robbins Life and Wealth Mastery Seminar. And she said, yeah, but it's just Tony's team. And I was like, that's not going to work for me. I want my money back. And they said, well, if you want to do a virtual seminar that will be hosted by Tony, there's one that's going to happen, you know, later in the week. So I said, okay, sign me up for that one. And so I was really skeptical about the guy, do you know what I mean, when the thing first started. But, you know, to give credit where credit is due, I mean, you know, he walks out on stage, he's 6'7", he's got like this unbelievable charisma, you know, this stage presence that is so magnetic. And, you know, we started that first day at 10 in the morning, and we didn't finish until 1 a.m. And he's just talking and talking and pumping you up and pumping you up and pumping you. And it was like a rock concert that went on for 13 hours. And it was the same thing the next day, and then the next day, and then the next, and the next. And I'm watching this guy, and he's 65 years old. He's been doing this for over 40 years, and he's giving so much energy and so much passion, and his voice is like shredded after 40 years. It sounds like that, but he's pushing and pushing and pushing. And I'm like, suddenly I understand why it is he wasn't going to be in Fiji, because it's not sustainable. I mean, you know, physically, he can't do this day after day, 52 weeks a year. And that's when I understood why Peter Conrad needs Mathieu Vasseur. It's not just expanding the business in Europe. I mean, when I did the seminar with Tony, there were people from 50 countries. You know, yeah, sure, it's nice to have, you know, more clients in Europe, but what it's really about, and that's what I say in the movie, if things go well in Vegas, this is just the beginning. We can do great things together. I need guys that have that magic, like Pierre Ninet has the magic, right? It takes a special combination of qualities to be able to be one of these guys, and Pierre has it. Matt Vasseur has it. So I have big plans for this guy. I need people to take some of the weight off my shoulders. I need people that I can delegate to that will teach my techniques. So when he shows up, like stinking like booze, and looking like a complete wreck, it's like, and this is his big day. It's like a boxer showing up for his championship fight, like hungover and looking like he slept in his car. Of course the trainer is going to say, what is wrong with you? What are you doing? This is your big moment. So it was really helpful to me to do the seminar with Tony, because suddenly all the questions that I had were answered. And, I have to say, like, you can like the guy or you can dislike him. You can think that the things that he teaches have value, or maybe they don't. But what I came to understand is that what you can't really say is that he doesn't believe that the things that he's teaching are going to help people. And just like in the film, his clients, former people include everybody from, Oprah Winfrey to, Hugh Jackman and Bill Clinton and Sir Anthony Hopkins, and the list goes on and on and on. And, I didn't start off as a fan of Tony Robbins, but by the end of 5 days, he convinced me.
You had the experience. You at first got ripped off and then...
Et si je peux rajouter quelque chose, c'est vrai, en fait pour la création du personnage de Matt, je me suis inspiré de coachs français, mais je ne pouvais pas seulement coller à ces coachs-là. Je trouvais que parfois ces coachs français n'étaient peut-être pas assez charismatiques, et c'est vrai que avec Jean-Baptiste, le scénariste, on s'est inspiré de coachs étrangers et évidemment de Tony Robbins, parce qu'il partage, si vous voulez, le même discours, le même enseignement que les autres coachs en France, c'est-à-dire cet aspect volontariste de l'existence, la pensée positive, le côté de prendre sa vie en main, mais il le fait avec un tel flow et avec un tel charisme que vous êtes vraiment... perturbé, fragilisé dans vos convictions, et que effectivement ça a un impact sur vous.
So yeah, like I said, we're working with some of the French coaches to get the inspiration from Matt, but they really are not taking it to that same level like the coaches in the US, that kind of charisma that we're looking for also together with Jean-Baptiste, like our co-writer. We really had to kind of look at the Tony Robbins and at these just bigger than life teaching moments that they have, where they're really, pounding down on the positive thinking, on you can do it, you can take your life into your own hands. There's so much charisma, there's so much flow. Like you can't, you have to be captured. It just takes you over.
Parce que là, juste une dernière chose, ce qui était important, c'était encore une fois que je me disais, si je suis dans la salle, dans cette salle de séminaire et que Matt est là, moi j'ai pas envie d'être dans une résistance moqueuse par rapport au coach. J'ai envie d'être fragilisé, j'ai envie d'être troublé par ses propos et au mieux d'être vraiment fasciné. Et donc c'était important que son discours soit pas binaire, soit un peu plus complexe, et qu'il ait surtout ce qui dégage cette énergie et j'espère le charisme que je ressentais quand je voyais les vidéos de Tony Robbins.
So it was really important then to sort of have Matt have this kind of message and not being too simplistic. It had to be a little bit complex to really be that convincing and sort of, make people vulnerable to be affected by it and take on that energy and that charisma. And that's why I was then turning to like coaches like Tony Robbins to have the character of Matt be inspired by as well.
Chloé, this is also your first time working with Yann, correct?
Yes, it is.
Can you just talk a little about how you got involved with this film?
I got a call. I had the chance to meet Yann. Actually, I knew his movies already. I was kind of a fan because I really loved Boîte Noire and Homme Idéal, and I am a big fan also of movies, American movies from the 70s, you know, this kind of paranoiac thriller movie, like Alain Pecula from Clute, and, you know, like this kind of The Conversations from the 70s. And there's this kind of music that is very sensitive, but tells a lot about attention, and it's not like huge expressions in the music, but it's very like everything is from the underneath and tells another story. And so I had the feeling in the way we worked together with Yann, and I think probably this is, this was very inspiring for me, because for me it's like a very nice opportunity to continue and do something about conspiration and about the question of control and changing and shifting the character, you know.
We're going to open it up in a little bit to some questions from the audience, I'm told. But before that, I'll warm it up, because I have a question that no one ever likes, but I like it when people ask it of me, so I always bring it to every Q&A. What was the most difficult aspect of making this film for each of you? Jan, maybe you said...
Everything is difficult.
Yeah. Well, see, when you're directing... See, I like complaining about making films, so this is important for me. But yeah, was there like a real low moment where you were like on set, you're like, oh man, is this going to work?
Non, ce qui était difficile en fait au départ, c'était de trouver l'angle, de quelle manière on allait raconter l'histoire. Parce que parler du coaching, voilà, c'est très très large. On avait même pensé à un moment donné, et c'était une mauvaise idée, de suivre un adepte, de suivre le point de vue d'un adepte qui rentrerait un peu comme ça dans un séminaire, qui serait fasciné par un coach. Et en fait, je me disais, mais j'ai l'impression que c'est très prévisible, ou presque j'ai déjà vu ce genre de film quelque part. Et je trouvais qu'il fallait assumer le sujet qui était, voilà, de faire un film en immersion, centré sur un coach, où on adopterait vraiment son point de vue, on épouserait vraiment le point de vue de ce type, et de savoir, voilà, qui est cet homme, c'est quoi son emploi du temps, c'est quoi sa vie intime, c'est quoi ses failles, c'est de quoi il rêve, d'où il vient, ce à quoi il aspire. Et c'était... Donc pour moi, une fois qu'on a décidé de choisir cet angle, pour moi les choses ont été plus faciles, et c'était très important de ne pas en faire un type qui est cynique au départ. C'est quelqu'un, même s'il devient de plus en plus violent dans le film, mais au départ il croit sincèrement aider les gens, et il pense vraiment les aider. Il est vraiment, par exemple, c'est pas quelqu'un qui est intéressé par l'argent. Dans un premier temps, il n'utilise pas son métier pour séduire des femmes, il est honnêtement impliqué dans sa mission, il se prend d'ailleurs pour Jésus. Donc c'était cette idée de ce plaisir narcissique qu'il ressent à aider les autres, à aider les gens. Et ça, ce truc-là, moi, me semblait hyper intéressant.
No, so actually the trickiest thing was in the beginning to sort of figure out how to build the story and from what angle sort of to approach it, because coaching, obviously, it's like a large topic, right? So how do you are we just following him from the outside? Like, how are we, how are we getting inside of it? And that's like we didn't want to make it too obvious. So, but once we figured out, maybe we take it from him. Like we're really immersing ourselves in this character, and we're getting like his point of view, and we really seeing the person there. What makes him tick? What are his dreams? Where is he going? And where is he coming from? And then once we had that angle, then it sort of became easier, and it was taking off. But it's pretty clear that he really believes that he's helping people. He's motivated by that. He does take himself a little bit for a Jesus type. So there is some narcissism, and obviously he's getting more violent as the film goes on, or there is some violence, but at first he comes across as somewhat as a sympathetic guy, and he really does believe that he's helping people.
Et donc, du coup, voilà, enfin, en tout cas, au tournage, ce qui a été le plus, pour moi, l'enjeu, c'était vraiment les scènes de séminaire. C'était les scènes les plus complexes, enfin, parce qu'il y avait du monde et que d'ailleurs, enfin, pas mal de figurants. Et les films précédents que j'avais faits, c'était plutôt des films intimistes. Je suivais 2-3 personnages. Là, il fallait trouver une manière de mettre en scène aussi les séminaires de manière un peu différente, d'essayer de trouver de leur donner une couleur différente dans la mise en scène, dans le filmage même. Donc, pour répondre à votre question, pour moi, ça a été ces moments, enfin, en tout cas pour le tournage, le plus complexe, parce que c'était Pierre aussi avec énormément de textes. Et je me disais qu'il fallait vraiment qu'on arrive à créer l'énergie, l'adrénaline, l'électricité que j'avais vue quand je m'étais inscrit dans les séminaires auxquels j'ai participé. Voilà, ce que j'avais assisté, je voulais vraiment le rendre compte, quoi.
So the shooting, in terms of shooting, it also was, of course, kind of the most complex, and maybe as you were asking, the most challenging scenes were those meetings, of those gatherings, and so we tried to, show it also in different ways, maybe with different colors, and Pierre, for instance, like he also had obviously a lot of dialogue, so that was maybe something that was in the shoot, kind of one of the more difficult things to accomplish, because we really wanted to show that adrenaline, that energy, that electricity that I saw, particularly once I turned into those, the more US type seminars, that you could feel there, and to really show that in the film.
What about you, Chloe? Lowest moment, worst moment? Did like Ableton crash? Like you lost? What was the worst moment working on this film?
The worst moment of what, sorry?
No worst moment.
No worst moment for the composer? Only
Come on, making a movie is...
yeah, it's true, it's
great.
magical.
Yeah.
Okay, no one ever likes my negative questions.
Yann answered for me, this is Control,
Your latest song, Control.
Of course, because it's about control, and of course this is, I had to explain. But no, making a movie, is a team, and it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of conversations, and a lot of, it's a back and forth situation. So whenever sometimes it was more complicated to find like the right tone, the right moment where you find like the right character, the way it goes, and it's the more I was talking to Yann, and the more I was really going deep into the character, and I was a bit sad that it was finished, because I wanted to go further. Like it finished, like it's a big chaos, but I think it should be more chaos even at the end. It was very fun, actually.
No one likes this question. I'll pivot. I would love to hear from you. You're fluent in French. You spent time in France. I'd love to hear from you the difference making movies in France versus here. You did 2019's Le Ding Dong was like your first, I think. And yeah, just overall, is there like a vibe or something that you like about working in France?
Yeah, people are really nice to me in France, and that's not always the case in LA. No, it's really the truth. I was sitting here thinking, while Yann and Chloe were speaking about, like, did I have any bad moments or any challenges or any? And the truth is, no. It was just so much fun. I love French cinema. And I was a student in France. I went to college there. I went when I was 18, and I maintained a residence in France for 15 years. I love Paris. It's my favorite city in the world. And I think the French influence on cinema is so profound. And and so for me, as an American actor, even if it's a small part, I didn't care. I wanted to be there. Yann is a great director. And Pierre Ninet is a great actor. And, to have the opportunity, to be a guest, I think of myself as a guest, and to be invited, to work with such amazing talents. Among the best in Europe. And, it really was, I said this earlier today, but it's the truth. It was an honor for me, just as it was an honor for me to be invited to this wonderful film festival. And merci François and toute l'équipe. Vraiment, très expérience. merci mille fois. I really had fun this week, and just to be here with you guys at the last night of the festival, the last show, the closing night film, you know, it's exciting for me. It was a lot of fun.
You see, he's Tony Robbins.
I am, right?
So much energy.
Become the character. No, you know, we'll talk later in the Q&A maybe about Tony, but...
You know, how there's a need and an interest for to succeed, you know, without going through all those steps and in that way also resisting the, you know, the structure as it is.
Parce que la France, c'est une société historiquement, comment dire, très centralisée, très pyramidale, très laïque, et donc vous voyez, il y a des résistances, il y a une sorte d'immobilisme. Nous, de France, quand on regarde les États-Unis, on a l'impression qu'il y a une fluidité, que c'est plus simple ou que les choses peuvent être plus rapides. C'est l'image qu'on a, nous, en France, cette perception qu'on a des États-Unis. Et c'est pour ça que, sur le papier, le coaching, où certains prophètes autoproclamés, ça marche, sur le papier, ça ne peut pas trop marcher en France, où surtout les élites sont extrêmement méfiantes de ça, du fait de notre histoire. Et pour autant, en fait, j'ai constaté dans les séminaires que c'est faux, qu'il y a un vrai succès, et que surtout, même si les élites sont extrêmement sceptiques, je le disais, méfiantes, la réalité sociologique du pays montre que c'est pas vrai, que vraiment les gens deviennent maintenant accros au coaching. Et dans les séminaires auxquels j'ai participé, la majorité des personnes qui assistaient à ces séminaires ont des revenus extrêmement modestes. Ils étaient prêts à payer genre 3 000 €, plus de 3 000 $ pour 3 jours de séminaire. Enfin, c'est quand même beaucoup d'argent. Bref, il y a une addiction au coaching qui se crée et qui existe aujourd'hui en France. Mais j'ai l'impression que je parle.
No, so like coming back to that France, you know, is just very rigid in terms of hierarchy, in terms of sort of almost like a pyramid of the different social groups. So it's somewhat, there's not a lot of mobility, but this actually brings this kind of more mobility to it. And when we're looking at the US from France, that's exactly what we see. We see more mobility, we see more fluidity. It seems like it's easier or faster at least to get to be successful or to build something. And so, you know, if you look at it on paper, you would think, oh, coaching, that will probably not work in France. You know, people will be very, you know, they won't trust it. And it is true for the elites, you know, in that society don't. They're very skeptical of it. But at the same time, there is a certain success. And I've seen that when I went to those seminars and people paid a lot of money to it. I think like 3,000 euros for a few days, and so it is there, it is present because exactly of those hopes to be able to, you know, create success for themselves in a more fluid way and a faster way without having to do all the, you know, typical steps.
Et juste une dernière chose pour répondre, encore un dernier élément. Ce qui m'a intéressé aussi dans l'arc du personnage, c'est qu'à un moment donné, en fait, le discours, le speech, les mots qu'il utilise, en fait, n'ont plus vraiment de sens. Et ça, j'ai l'impression que c'est aujourd'hui, un peu partout, dans nos sociétés, en France aussi, la parole ne sert plus à dire la vérité. Ça n'a plus d'intérêt, la vérité n'existe plus. La parole sert à brutaliser, la parole sert à donner de l'énergie et à créer tout le temps de la sidération. Et on a ça aussi en politique. Enfin, en France, on a une forme de polarisation et aujourd'hui, il n'y a plus de débat serein et tout est dans la violence, l'agressivité et la sidération. Et quelque part, le coaching, une forme de coaching, hein, le coaching toxique, parce qu'il y a des coachs qui font très bien leur travail, mais cette forme de coaching très très toxique joue là-dessus et quelque part, pour moi, représente ce qu'on vit, nous, aujourd'hui dans nos sociétés.
So when we're developing the character, what I wanted to add is that, you know, the speeches were very important, and actually in the sense that the words don't really mean that much anymore. That, you know, we're not using words to speak the truth. It's actually about energy. We're just sort of transmitting energy and creating energy when we're, which is something we're seeing in politics too, and we create excitement, and we're not really having a debate like we used to have, and actually really talking about things. And this type of coaching, there might be some coaching where that is more truthful or more real, but there is the toxic type of coaching where really it's just completely playing with that and using it basically as a method to affect people or to influence people rather than to debate or talk about anything.
Yeah, so we have time for one more question. Thank you all for staying late. I told Yann before the screening that I thought Matt's character had lost his soul when he talked positively about moving to the US. But he said that was just a coincidence. The gentleman in the dapper beret, you've had your hand up, so we're going to close it out with you, but any other questions, you can shout them as we all try to run out of the theater.
Very quickly, I'll keep this short and sweet like myself. Bravo, thank you for showing us your film. Seriously, it was great. I have to ask, first I'd like to say it was such a roller coaster. I think some films that it reminded me of were Good Time or Uncut Gems, and it was drinking water through a fire hose. Like even my heart is racing right now. I think it's because of the film, but also maybe because I'm standing here in front of a lot of people. But all that to be said, at the most basic, rudimentary level, film causes us to feel and to learn, and it raises awareness. So I have a twofold question. One, in watching this film, would y'all hope, is there some sort of response or reaction that any of these life coaches, any of these thought leaders in this space, would you like them to respond in a certain way, or to alter, based on seeing this and raising awareness, like, would you like them to have some discernment over their methods, or for them to be more aware with it in a way? Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm articulating.
I understand.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you all heard that.
And then second part to that. Sorry, second part would be, in the entire process of y'all's creation and y'all's particular scopes of y'all's work, was there anything that y'all learned about yourselves in bringing this film to life?
I'm going to say you can choose which one of those you want to answer, because we're a little short on time this evening.
Thank you for
So the questions are like, the gentleman's questions were kind of like, what do you hope the effect this film will have on viewers and culture, and also what epiphanies the artists had in their own craft and in themselves making the project.
Viewers, but particularly life coaches, the thought leaders.
Well, it's only in Los Angeles. The first question at the premiere of this film is going to be like, I'm a life coach. But it'll have a longer journey, and different premieres will go differently. But yes, the effect you hope it happens on the profession.
Non, j'ai pas la. Faudrait organiser une projection pour tous les coachs de vie.
We should just organize a screening for all the coaches.
Non, j'ai pas fait ce film pour leur dire de changer leur méthode. C'est plus moi une réaction par rapport à ce que j'ai vu et des questionnements en fait. C'est-à-dire, j'espère que le film. Je voulais pas faire un film binaire où je dis au spectateur ce qu'il faut qu'il pense. J'espère que le film est moral, qu'il a une morale, mais il n'est pas moralisateur. Et encore une fois, comme l'a dit très bien Holt, et pour aussi avoir assisté à des séminaires, alors moins spectaculaires que évidemment Tony Robbins en France, mais vous voyez, c'est complexe, parce que moi j'ai assisté à des scènes où il y a une addiction qui se fait quand vous êtes pris en main par un coach. Et moi j'étais dans une résistance, hein, clairement. Et pour autant, j'ai senti qu'il y avait un truc où en fait, je crois qu'on est dans une société tellement en perte de repères, où on est tellement isolé, que le fait de participer à ces grands rassemblements, en fait, il y a cette adrénaline, cette électricité que vous ressentez, le fait d'être prise en main par un coach, ça crée une forme de dopamine, quoi. Et malheureusement, vous ne réglez pas vos problèmes de fond, je pense, voilà. Mais vous avez le sentiment de vivre une expérience, comme tu as dit, c'était peut-être un concert de rock, et vous vivez une expérience tellement intense que ça crée une addiction.
Et après, vous rentrez chez vous, et c'est vraiment la descente aux enfers, parce que vous êtes à nouveau seul avec vos problèmes, et donc vous allez vous réinscrire à ces séminaires pour revivre à nouveau cette expérience. Et vous voulez encore plus, comme un drug addict. Et you want more all the time. Et on arrive même à un phénomène où les gens me racontaient qu'ils voulaient devenir coach. Et donc on est dans des séminaires où il y a un coach forme d'autres coachs qui vont former d'autres coachs, et c'est un truc qui devient fou, quoi. Tout le monde veut devenir coach. On est dans une société où c'est ça, quoi. Et aussi cette idée de cette société du coaching, elle valorise les guerriers de la vie, ceux qui sont résilients, ceux qui ont eu des traumas. Et quelque part, Matt, c'est une sorte de coquille vide opportuniste, et donc, parce qu'il n'a pas de trauma, il s'en invente, et donc, il pense même en avoir, quoi. Il se convainc lui-même qu'il a eu des traumas dans sa vie, quoi. Donc, je n'ai pas de message, je sais pas, mais je pense que, en tout cas, le problème de certains coachs, encore une fois, toxiques, je trouve, c'est que, en fait, ils ont... Moi, par exemple, je disais à mon scénariste, je critique Tony Robbins, mais moi, j'ai mes petites aussi, mes petits mantras, quoi. Je suis un peu à la Tony Robbins aussi. Mais quelque part, en fait, je me rends compte qu'il y a un simplisme qui est trop important. C'est-à-dire qu'il crée une formule magique qui est censée vous aider, qui que vous soyez dans la salle, et quel que soit le contexte social, quel que soit votre passé. Et ça, c'est un peu une arnaque, en fait. On ne peut pas résoudre les problèmes avec une formule magique, c'est pas vrai. Et ça ne peut pas être résumé à bouge-toi les fesses, bouge-toi, tu dois réussir, tout est en toi, c'est faux. Le déterminisme social, ça existe, la dépression, ça existe. Vous ne pouvez pas résoudre ça en un claquement de doigts. Et donc je pense qu'il faut prendre en compte une forme de complexité, et il n'y a pas de recette miracle pour sortir de ces traumas et tout ça. C'est des années de psychanalyse, quoi. C'est pas en hurlant dans un séminaire pendant 2 jours que vous allez résoudre vos problèmes, c'est pas vrai. There's someone with a trauma, no?
No, so the film is not trying to tell anyone how to do anything, right? And it's not trying to tell the life coaches to change their methods or do anything different. I mean, this was a film that I made out of, from what I saw, like in a reaction to this world. And so I don't want to tell people how to feel or what to think. Of course, there is a certain moral to the film, but it's not really moralizing. I just think that it's a lot more complex. So, because even when I was there, even I was somewhat resistant to what was happening, I did really feel something, I felt the electricity, and I felt when people were taking their hands and we were being together, it's almost some kind of dopamine that's, it's not going to fix your problems being there, but it also does create sort of almost a little bit like an addiction, because you go there and you feel better, and a lot of people are isolated. I think you were saying it was like a rock concert, right? So you go there, and then, but when you come home, then it's like a descent into hell, and you're like, oh, and now I feel horrible again, so now I have to go again. So then, it's really like a drug, and you get in that cycle, you keep going, and then I was so amazed by so many coaches who then wanted to also be coaches. So then it creates almost like this little pyramid scheme of more coaches, training more coaches, and everybody wants to be, a coach. And even Matt, he's, like I said, he's somewhat opportunistic, but he is, still feeling this need to help, and even when you're looking at the more toxic coaches, even maybe Tony Robbins, there is something that happens in the room, right? There is a certain magic, there is an energy, but again, like it's not gonna fix any real problems just by getting together in a room. It's more complex. If you're getting together in a room and you cry and you scream together for a few days, your problems, there are real problems in our society, and you're not going to fix anything, or personal problems. You're going to need years of psychoanalysis analysis. And as strong as it is, it seems like an easy fix, but it's not.
Thank you.
I think that's it for us tonight. I've been getting the signal for the last 15 minutes.